Let's talk some sports, baby.
Taken by Iguodala. Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by Jones.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today, and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
Let's go ahead and wrap up our NFL draft previews. Today we got the AFC and NFC West divisions on the docket, with the AFC up first. The Chargers start us off picking 6th and eyeing a quarterback. The Raiders hold 2 first-round picks at 12 and 19, with Denver picking between them at 15. And the Super Bowl champ Chiefs are last up at 32. So, Drink, our new-look Chargers hold the 6th pick. Is it a quarterback, or are we in for a surprise?
First of all, before we get in this, I got to say something. Hey, Chargers, what the hell are y'all doing? How do you let Tom Brady go down to Tampa Bay? Yeah, that's right. I said it. Tampa Bay. And how you let the Bucs just come and take them from? Do you understand the situation you could have been? You could have had Tom Brady for a year or two, drafted Tua. Man, all right. I just don't know what y'all doing. You could have put your franchise back on the map with this one. Instead, you're gonna go share a new stadium with the Rams and be less important unless Cam Newton come there. Telling you right now, Tyrod Taylor ain't it. That ain't it. You better. I hope you got a plan to draft Tua or something. I don't know, but all right. Now to the actual subject at hand. With the Chargers, evidently the first position I just talked about it is quarterback. I think. Listen, Tua, Justin Herbert. It's simple as that. One of these two dudes need to be signed with their first pick. They go somewhere else. God bless them. Just bless them, because it's going to be a rough one. And then the next position I went was outside tackle. I went with Prince Tega Wenmego out of Auburn. Sorry, I butchered that last name, but just know his first and middle name is Prince Tega. The outside tackle for Auburn. And then I went inside linebacker for the third position with Jacob Phillips out of LSU, the lesser-known middle linebacker coming out of LSU. So, yeah, my 3 positions was quarterback, offensive tackle, and inside linebacker for the Chargers.
Yeah, to his initial point, the clearest fake news story that I've heard in a long time is Anthony Lynn saying, yeah, we're moving forward with Tyrod Taylor. No, you're not, because Tyrod Taylor isn't stepping on the field with Patrick Mahomes and going step for step with him. So not that many people are, but Tyrod Taylor ain't getting it done for you. So yeah, it's about the quarterback. Tua would be my first pick, but if you can't get him, Justin Herbert, we can't forget this. If he came out in the 2018 draft, or excuse me, the 2019 draft last year, he was presumably going to be the number 1 pick. So I don't think that's something we should sneeze at. But even so, if you don't get to and you don't want Herbert, there are other quarterbacks that we look at that you can take a look at down the line, whether it's a Jordan Love, a Jake Fromm, Jacob Eason, all those names come to mind. But quarterback is definitely something they need to address, because they don't have the quarterback on the roster right now. And I think running back's another position that they got to take a serious look at. Melvin Gordon leaving town. They might have not thought it's a big deal, but they're going to find out when Austin Eckler is having some struggles running between the tackles. Not to take anything away from Eckler. He's a real good player. He's an excellent receiver. But when I think about a guy who's churning out those tough yards and finishing drives for me, I'm not going to think of Austin Eckler. I'm looking at Jonathan Taylor. I don't know if you can get him in that second round. I don't know if he'll slip. But if you can't get him, I think Zach Moss would be a great compliment to what they have in Eckler, the young man out of Utah. And I think I like this defense. I really do. They got great edge rushers. Linval Joseph, he makes them stronger in the middle. And I like the secondary. I really do. I think they could use a little more juice at linebacker. Like Drink said, I'm looking at Jordan Brooks or Troy Dye, a couple guys I've referenced before. But quarterback, running back, and linebacker, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think quarterback is really interesting. If I ran the Chargers, I'd already had Cam Newton or Jameis Winston in town, and then I'd work on maybe offensive tackle or hoping someone like Isaiah Simmons falls to me. I mean, imagine Simmons running around with Derwin James back there. That'd be an absolute circus, and good luck. On a defense already, oh, by the way, with Joey Bosa, Chris Harris, etc. But, the quarterback position is the one position that you could reach if you had to. Let's say Tua and Herbert are both gone. Let's say maybe Detroit trades down, and then the Dolphins and someone else jump up and take the other two guys. Even Jordan Love, if you had to take him, if you were in love with him, and I didn't realize that. Because if you reach for a quarterback, but then he works, it doesn't matter, right? Because you got your guy. So no one's ever going to remember, he was good. Like, he's your guy. No one cares. No one remembers. All they care about is he's good. So other than that, this roster, I agree with the running back, linebacker. But again, you look at it top to bottom, it's a really solid roster, and it's better than a top 6 team should have. So, they're going to have some opportunities to just see who comes down and then just hit the best talent they have. But overall, after they get quarterback figured out, it's kind of up to them. All right, Jay, we're moving over to the Raiders. They have 8 picks, including 12 and 19. Who you got for them?
Yeah, this might surprise you, but I think a lot's been made ever since John Gruden got to the Raiders about the John Gruden-Derek Carr relationship, and I can really see John Gruden taking a chance and going out and taking Jordan Love. I'm assuming Burrow, Tua, and Herbert go off the board to the Bengals, Dolphins, and Chargers, respectively. I just think ever since Derek Carr had that one season and he broke his his hand. I don't know what it was. Maybe his knee.
The last year under Jack Del Rio.
Right. Yeah. And then remember we had the Brock Osweiler, Connor Cook playoff game. It was an absolute shootout. No, it wasn't. But ever since that season, it's just never really been the same. We haven't seen Derek Carr continue his career in that fashion. I don't think it's not that he's a bad quarterback and he can't play. It's just you think about, again, the AFC West, you're going to be dealing with Patrick Mahomes for the next, 10 to 15 years. You gotta have a little extra in there, and it doesn't appear that Derek Carr has that. So I'm thinking about Jordan Love, or maybe in the later rounds, you take the big, strong arm guy like Jacob Eason. And then defensively, I still think there's a lot of work to do. They made some strides last year, getting Cleveland Farrell and the safety Simmons out of Mississippi State. I think linebacker. I think that's a spot they need to invest in. Kenneth Murray, Patrick Queen. I don't know if you noticed, but every time we mention one, we mention the other. They're two after Isaiah Simmons, it's going to be these two guys. They're the best two inside linebackers in the draft. And I think cornerback, remember Mike Mayock? I don't know if you recall, but he likes Alabama and Clemson players. So A.J. Terrell makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so to that point, right? He likes Alabama and Clemson players. I think it's the flavor of the month when Mike Mayock. I honestly think he's going to fall in love with 2 Oklahoma guys this year. I'm looking. My 3 was wide receiver was first. I think CeeDee Lamb. I would not be surprised if Oakland going to reach out there and get CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. And my second guy was, once again, that duo that you said, Kenneth Murray, Patrick Queen. But I think they should have a shot at Kenneth Murray because they got the 2 first-round picks.
Right.
So right. I think they can go Oklahoma, to solve those 2 needs. And then the third one would be outside offensive tackle. And I'm looking at Hakeem Adenija coming out of Kansas. So the way I look at it is wide receiver, inside linebacker, and offensive tackle.
Oklahoma drill. I like it. One of the points about the quarterbacks, so we go to the other positions. In 2020, Mariota and Carr are both out of their contracts. They're not signed past 2020. So, if you are looking to start fresh for the Raiders, you're going to have the opportunity here. So, quarterback is glaring, but it's really hard to tell if they would roll the dice in the first round, or maybe they would pick up one of these later round guys, like your Jalen Hurts types or something. Who knows? I had wide receiver and corner as my 2 needs as well, and I think they're going to kind of play this by ear. I believe Florida's C.J. Henderson, this is as far as he's going to fall, and if he's still there at 12, that's who they're going to pick up. This is a guy that's rising every single week, it feels like. So if he goes there at 12, then why not T. Higgins at 19? We know they like the Clemson guys, and then if we assume Henderson is gone by then, we can flip the script, and I kind of like Henry Ruggs going to them, another guy that's got that. Just I think that Mayock and Gruden will look at his upside, his ceiling, and they would just be like, man, this is a guy where they'd be really hard pressed to pass on him. And then they would come back at 19 and get AJ Terrell. So those are 2 guys I think you could see some wild cards. Could be Antoine Whitfield or Southern Illinois' Jeremy Chin. Some more defensive backs that do have their stock rising as well before the draft gets going. All right, Drink. The Broncos are on next, picking number 15 with 9 picks total. What do you got for them?
All right. So, first, I'm looking at defensive tackle. I don't think they're going to pass up Javon Kinlaw. I think you could probably sign, seal, and deliver that. Go ahead and sign it if he's on the board. I don't see why he could be off the board. If he's on the board, I don't think the Broncos pass. I just say that. And then my next, once again, offensive tackle. As you see, I am in love with those big uglies to protect the quarterback because in this day and age with the CBA not allowing them to practice as much, if the faster you can get a guy that can learn on the move, the better you end up being throughout the season. So I went with Israel Cleveland out of Boise State with that pick for the offensive line. And then my third was safety. I'm just not overly impressed with what I see out there. I do know they have players to fill that need, but hey, why not go out and get you one from scratch, build them up, and see how that future go? And I'm looking at Ashton Davis coming out of the University of California to fill that need. So my 3 needs was defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and safety.
Yeah, a little bit of variance here from me with this 15th overall pick that they got. I see this going one or two ways. I think if somehow CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy slide on down to them, I think they need another receiver opposite Cortland Sutton. They're a little thin outside of that. Tim Patrick and Deshaun Hamilton, they're okay, but I think they're probably number 3s at best. But if both of those 2 guys are off the board, I can definitely see them perhaps going the offensive tackle route. If Lamb and Jeudy are gone, you'd like to think that one of those 4 offensive tackles that we've referenced many times, whether it's Andrew Thomas, Becton, Wirfs, or Wills, so those are the 4 that we're thinking about. That's definitely an option because Garrett Bowles, he's been struggling these first 3 seasons. But I will say this: they got Mike Munchak out there, the offensive line coach. Perhaps the best offensive line coach in football. And as the year went along, I heard his name less and less. So I can only assume that he got better as the season went along. But offensive line, I still think they need a little help. And I would go in the later rounds. I would think about a guy like Nick Harris out of Washington who could fill a need at center at day one, because I think the tackles could be okay, and I do like their guards. I like that they just signed Graham Glasgow, and they got Dalton Risner from last year. And then at corner, I think there's a need there. No Chris Harris. You did get A.J. Boye in there. Hopefully Bryce Callahan plays football this year instead of being out with a foot injury all year. And speaking of Bryce, I would be just tickled to death if they took Bryce Hall out of Virginia. I would absolutely love that. John Elway, holla at me.
Yeah, when I looked at the Broncos, offensive tackle did kind of strike me. But I think Jay makes a good point. I think some teams do tend to like their lines better than maybe the media and the fans kind of look at them. I think that's a position that's the hardest to evaluate because there's always, it's a position that just doesn't have a lot of stats. You kind of have to go off what your coaches think and what your scouts think. So it's going to depend. If they do think that Bowles is worth salvaging, then they are going to roll with him and probably go for a wide receiver. Again, I think that if 15, you're going to still have a good options of guys, Justin Jefferson from LSU, a guy that maybe put in the slot across from Cortland Sutton as your bigger outside threat. Maybe that's a good idea. Or if you want to give him a solid number 2 and CeeDee Lamb, you might have to trade up a few spots, but you do have some of those mid-round picks you could package to jump up a couple picks to grab him. That'd be a guy that you could just give to Drew Lock to just, hey, you throw the ball anywhere, the he's going to catch it no matter what, right? So you can address some other concerns, maybe like your defense in rounds 2 through 4. But if they don't like what they see with Bowles, maybe they want to make a change, then you're going to also be within striking distance of someone like Andrew Thomas or Mekhi Becton, just depending on who goes where. Those guys are going to be hard to say when they're going to come off. It's going to kind of fall to where the quarterbacks come, and then with some of those other premier guys on defense come to see where the offensive tackles start to fall after that. All right, guys, we'll wrap up with the Chiefs. They have 5 picks, including the 32nd pick. Jay, how did the Super Bowl champs stay on top?
Yeah, you ain't got but 5, so you better make them count. Although, you just won a Super Bowl, so I'm not sure how much they care. And they're pretty well stocked at several positions. But yeah, I'm looking at my first need. I'm going at the running back position. I know I like Damian Williams a whole lot. I just feel like you had LaShawn McCoy. I don't expect him to be back. And then there's really not a whole lot. They got some other guys. They got Darrell Thompson and or Daryl Williams and Darwin Thompson. They got some dudes out there, but I just feel like they need a little bit more. I think Antonio Gibson out of Memphis is a guy you could get in the later rounds, and a big, strong, physical back who I think he'd complement Damian Williams very well, give them a little bit more physical presence because, I mean, as great as they are, they got a little finesse to them. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about. And then on defense, I think that, look, they made strides last year on defense. They improved as the season got along. They weren't a complete train wreck like they were under Bob Sutton. But they got room to improve out there. I think linebacker and corner, those are two spots. I think in the first round, I think about getting a corner in there, maybe Jeff Gladney out of TCU. And then at linebacker, I like Malik Harrison out of Ohio State.
Listen. One thing we got to caveat when we talk about the Kansas City, the defending Super Bowl champs, is they're bringing back over 90% of their starters, first of all. So, they got 5 picks, which looks very, very funny on paper when you're doing research. And you're like, wait, is it? That's all they got? So they managed to get 8 picks per round. So, but they're bringing back 90%. So they're in a good position. They pretty much just need to showed up a couple positions. And the way I look at it is, my first 2 needs are both cornerbacks. I'm telling you right now, it's both cornerbacks. They need some safety. Hey, that secondary needs some help. Somebody help. Somebody call 911. They need some help. Yes, I understand they won a Super Bowl. I understand it was good enough to get a Super Bowl win. But you come into the season, right? Now you have that target on your back. You can't be coming out here flopping around, can't stop the pass consistently. So I'm looking at Christian Fulton in the first round from LSU. You grab him, and listen, Christian Fulton, he possibly can get the old 2-for-1, the old Applebee's, national champion at LSU, could join the Chiefs, possibly a world champion with the Chiefs. So that's one thing to look at. Don't really matter in this subject. I just want to say that. And then I'm looking with that second cornerback, I'm looking at Jalen Johnson out of Utah, right? You snatch up them 2 young studs, get them lined up. They in practice getting wore out by that wide receiver core, and they understand his levels to this. And you go ahead and get them ready for the season. And then with the third pick, I agree with Jay. You got to get you a running back. You need some help back there. Listen, you had LaShawn McCoy out there holding up the running back clipboard. I don't even know why you went and got LaShawn McCoy just so he can sandbag it for a ring. I don't understand it. Those guys, we haven't took the Chiefs running game serious since Kareem Hunt kicked that poor little girl down the hall. Listen, so we just haven't took them serious. So they need to go and figure out something with this run game. It was okay. It got the job done because you had a generational talent at quarterback. But you got to get him some help now. Go strengthen that running game, like Jay said. Get you a better 1-2 punch. So yeah, I went cornerback, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs.
2020 Super Bowl Chiefs, heard it here first. A lot of mocks are sending DeAndre Swift to Kansas City, and I can't argue anything else. Like, when I look at this, I look at when it comes down, it's definitely not going to be their biggest need. I would agree, Drink. Corner is their bigger need. But I think that when you look at what DeAndre Swift would be on like a big board versus where he would actually wind up falling to, I think he's going to go in the first round. And I think when the Chiefs get there at 32, he's going to be sitting there, and they're going to be like, well, I mean, we can't pass the guy. So you're going to add yet another weapon to that offense, because the way I see it, you might as well do what you do good, right? Just do it better. So that's the only legitimate problem in the whole offense is running back. So you put a guy like DeAndre Swift who can not only run, but he can also catch. He's got good hands. So, you're going to add that to it. And if they don't go Swift, maybe he's off the board. Maybe they say, we don't want a running back in the first round. Trayvon Diggs or Christian Fulton, I think, are the 2 guys you could look at in the first round. I think the safety group is okay. So you could definitely improve your worst position. But I kind of think Swift's your guy here. And a thing to think about for them, if they do pass on Swift in the first round or pass on a running back in general in the first round, by the time they pick again at the end of the second, a lot of running backs are likely to go off. Your Cam Akers, your Jonathan Taylors, your Zach Mosses, they're all likely to be gone. So if you're planning on that, you better be looking at your third or fourth round running backs to pick at the end of the second, because I think the best talent will be gone by then. So something they need to consider.